Hi, this video is a summary from the Q&A for the Reimagine Communication program. And one thing that is good to mention why it is a program and not a course or a weekend thing. It's because we're not only working with insights, meaning that understanding, but we want to support participants to install new capabilities. And that takes time. For most adults, it takes years to kind of grow into new perspectives. But what we found is that if you do it together with other people with a clear intent, but also consciously, and you have a plan, like we have a plan to how to kind of visit the same place so many times, so you start to see things from a new angle, new perspective. So that is worth mentioning, why it is a program over time, and even after the program ends, people report that they are kind of growing into new capabilities or abilities to see and understand and also relate. And some things in this presentation might not make sense to everyone, and over time it will. So some things in life are like this. They take time to grow into. So that was it, and I made some timestamps here if you want to skip into the recording to find the things that you look for. Remember to connect with us, call us, or send an email if you have questions that are not answered by this video or this webpage. And we hope to see you in September.
So what are we doing, Kai? Do we want to share some slides and then see if there are questions that come up?
Yeah.
Would that be a good order?
September 23rd is when we start. And we move the start from now in the middle of August. So that's the latest one. We love NVC. And we've been loving it for like 30 years each, me and Liv. And do you want to say something about this slide, or does it speak for itself, so to say?
I think it speaks for itself that we are working on a program that we call Reimagine, but it's not because we want to throw out what we already have. It's not like, we don't like this, so we're not going to do that. But we want to see what more is there that can grow from what we already love with nonviolent communication. What is it that we can actually expand and see from another perspective?
Do you want to say something about this, Liv?
Yeah, and that is for me, it's been, pitfalls, conflict, challenges, all of that can actually help us grow if we kind of uh, pause and embrace it. And that's what we've been trying to do with NVC. Like sometimes we have seen that NVC empathy, for example, we can say if we just have enough empathy, anything is possible. So it becomes kind of naively idealistic, as we name it here, where we're kind of including everything. We want to like just have everyone being included in every moment. And then we struggle to set boundaries. So these are the kind of things that we want to name and work with and kind of see what can we do instead? In what way can we use NVC as a way as we grow? Because this program is just open for people who already have like a solid background in NVC. It's not, it doesn't make sense for people who don't, because we are going to kind of want to look at the NVC concepts and see what more is there to it. So this is why this is one of the ways we have grown. We made a lot of mistakes, made a lot of stuff that we have. Uh,
We've been down there, the pitfalls deep down. Sometimes we call them rabbit holes as well.
yeah.
So,
And so, and we've seen also that NBC people can actually turn quite demanding, and we start expecting the world to know about empathy and so on. And not because we're evil, but because we're kind of dreaming of that. And then what can we do about that? what can we do about that dream that we want to kind of uh, try to expand? I think that's what we want to say about this.
Yeah. Then you added this new slide today, right?
Well, this does change the picture, and it's more like that we want really to stress NVC as a process rather than something that has, sometimes we see people in NVC field kind of become upset with each other because it's almost like we create a dogma and then we fight about who has the best way of doing NVC, and we might get to hold on to static ideas rather than this is a way to process human connection. This is a way to grow together and create together. So that's where we put our focus in this program.
So we're gonna talk about growth and learning and growth in two directions. One we call horizontal growth, and that is often what we mean by that is that we learn new skills, we learn new theories, so we become more knowledgeable, um, and then we can also grow vertically like a tree. So then we get new perspectives, so we can, and we work with both of these. And what happens to us when we move around, when we have shift our perspective and the tools we have, the knowledge we have, the skills we have, what they will actually change. Uh, so those are things that um, we're gonna play with.
I like to add something to that because this was one of the places I think, well, let's hear what Rena and Anniken says about that at maybe at some point. But I think this was one of the things that from last year's program that people started realizing that it's not about me getting more and more skilled at nonviolent communication and I become like a really strict on my own language in a way that kind of makes my life smaller, like rather than helping me expand. And so we are looking at different parts of nonviolent communication and see how we can grow not only in knowing how to use it, but to understand it from, like Kai was saying, from more perspectives.
And to use the metaphor, the tree that we have in front of us, like if we, like me and Lee, we live in the forest, so we have more trees than people around us. And it's very obvious that some birds, they stay very high up in the trees. So if you want to meet those birds, you have to climb up the tree to meet them, kind of. And then if you want to meet the rabbit, you need to stay on the ground, kind of. So that is, I think, a good metaphor for the vertical, that people are at different places. So if we want to connect and cooperate with them, we also need to know how to climb up the tree sometimes, and sometimes climb down the tree. So we will work with that so we can meet everyone. So everyone means everyone, not everyone who is as me, because everyone is much larger group of people than everyone who is as me, uh, or
Mhm.
who shares my values. So this might be a complicated picture, but to put it briefly, when we learn and practice nonviolent communication or any other communication model or school, we might prioritize some of these squares, um, and they all are right in the sense. But if we leave something out, we will miss something. So this is also an aim we have, that we want to include all four uh, corners of this slide, both our inner life and our behaviors, but also recognize that we are also part of groups, contexts. So when we change context, things also change in our ability to talk, to communicate, and it affects us. So if we want to navigate work life, family life, if we want to do social change, if we want to grow as a person, then to be able to hold these four will help us much more than just leaning on one or a couple of them. Yeah.
So this is one of the models we will work with in different ways throughout the program to sharpen the NVC tool.
Yeah.
Is there any more that we want to share before we open up for questions?
Yeah, I think there's some practicalities.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there's some takeaways. I think you mentioned this already. There's on the webpage you can read about like more in detail the different topics that we're gonna look at. So we might not talk about that now if you don't have specific questions about these things. Yeah, and then one of the big things is that we wanna make this as real for you as possible. So it means that we are gonna invite you to choose relationships, some real relationships. It can be family, friends, or colleagues or neighbors. And then all the explorations we do, we also practice, you can practice in relating to that person in role play or in real. So you can also see real progress in your real relationships. So that also makes it, anchors it, and it helps it become more real in that sense. And you might get instant payoff for your work, so to say.
Yeah, and if you heard Rina as at the start talking about her sister, there is a lot of those, like putting some work with support from others actually can take you far. I have my own challenge with my sister last year. There was a lot of kind of unexpected work from my side with my in relationship to my sister, and she just spent 3 weeks here this summer, and it was really good having done all that work for myself during the program as well. It bears fruit, even if sometimes it's hard, but it does bear fruit.
So Liv also kind of showed the cards that we don't claim to be perfect. We are very eager to learn, and we've been studying quite a lot. But it seems like the more you learn, the more deeper into the woods you allow yourself to go, and there you find new challenges. So it's not like that it gets easy one day. You challenge yourself more.
Did you want to add something to this, Rina?
Yes. What I found is with the horizontal and vertical empathy, which was new for me, I mean, a clearer understanding of the power of empathy and the process. You also brought awareness around the developmental stages. And that helped me to see where there were the critical challenges or the turning points within the relationship, because there's a history in the relationship in both with my ex-husband and my sister. After 60, there's more history. So the developmental stages helped me to drop my judgments from a much deeper space where I could mourn the difference in us being raised under the same roof with my sister, to mourn, that, wow, we did grow up with the same parents, but our lives were very different. So that developmental stage and the perspective that I found very challenging to understand and then apply. But it is that is working. So yeah, that is why the sweat that you spoke of that it is hard work, but I think it pays. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that input.
And to say more about the sweat, like couple of we got some feedback from this year, but I think in my life as well, I can see that sometimes I struggle with understanding something because it doesn't really fit how I interpret things now. But then somehow that kind of um, itches me to become more curious. And if I find that curiosity, then I've had a lot of moments when I've totally kind of seen things from a different angle. The colors change. And that when we practice during over time, this is why we call it a program and not like a weekend, because over time, if we kind of practice these things, then our our perspective, our sight might change, so we might actually see things differently. So it's not a theory or a model that we try to memorize. It's more like, oh, I can see something that I couldn't see before, and that leads me to kind of have more options. Might not get easier, but I have more options. So that might happen. So this is like a warning. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm looking for the practicalities. Here they are.
Well, can you back off one
Mhm.
again? Because I realize, so we are going to ask everyone to choose three important relationships. So if you're already signed up for the program, it's time to start thinking about what are these relationships that you want, and it doesn't have to be a problematic one, but it's one where you want to grow and you want to deepen that relationship. You want to kind of or find acceptance for the way it is instead of kind of fighting it inside. So that is where it also becomes really real, and it's also where the smaller groups you will be part of, like you will have one exploration group where you will put into practice the different things we do into these three relationships. That's what I wanted to say, Kai.
Thanks. Yes. That's like something running in the background all the time in everything we do. That's like the thread that follows during the whole thing. And then the practicalities. Oops. We start 23rd of September, and formally we end 2nd of June, 2027. Wow, 2027. I thought 26 just started. There's 15 teacher or leader-led sessions with me and or Leave. So there might be some stuff that sometimes we can't join both, but we aim at being here both because I think we both don't want to miss it. It's so much fun. And that's 6 to 9 Stockholm time. So if you're in US, this gonna be daytime for you then. And then we have the smaller exploration groups where we invite you to explore the things that we started in the teacher-led sessions. And then there's like a forum on our webpage for the people who are in the group where we'll share learnings and questions and things. And we might suggest that you read some books or some stuff or look at some videos. So we're that might help with integration. I think we can say a lot, but I think I'll pause there. So
Yeah.
Now we're curious if there is any questions or anything you want to hear more about, having had this so far. Mia?
Sounds wonderful so far, and the deck was inspiring. And I was wondering if you could maybe go the next level down in either the slide with the quadrants or the slide that had the list of all of the topics. more to take it out of the theoretical and just give an example to help us get our head around it.
I have an example that might make it include your question. I've been working in a hospital for quite some years, helping the staff. The staff were like training other staff in how to, when they do surgery, how they talk to each other, like how they communicate, because that's kind of important, so they don't cut the wrong arm or get into a fight while they do surgery and stuff. And then on one session, I remember where I was not able to do what we have in front of us. I was seeing them as individuals only. Like, so if you just do this, if you just express your needs or set boundaries, and then one woman, she very clearly said, "But Kai, you forget that we are in a hierarchical structure. So some things, they are good, they're true what you're saying, but they don't work in this structure." So that was a very good learning example for me, that even though those individuals could do and they would enjoy what I was teaching them, but I did not help them include the structure, the context they were needing to do it in. So if I would do that again, then I would think about, so what kind of structure are they in? What kind of organization? How does that affect their ability, their willingness to share things, and who to share, what to share? So those questions, if I add those, then I will be much more able to navigate in that context. And then on the street, when we're just friends and we're not in that organization, then it might be different, because then the context has changed. So does that give an
Yes,
idea
thank
of
you.
how to see this picture?
Yeah,
And
thank you.
we move a lot in our daily life in different contexts, so we need to be able to be aware of that and use that kind of. I was naive, but this was more than 10 years ago, so now I'm bold and more real.
I guess one quick question. So that's one dimension. So is it your context and their context? Is that what makes it four? Because I'm trying to understand each of the different four.
Oh, all of these four, they are happening at the same time, so you can't escape them. Like in real, you can't, like we're, but what happens is we can kind of overemphasize someone. Like when I was learning NVC, I never thought about having needs. And then I read in the book and I learned about needs. And then that was so fascinating for me. So I thought everything was about needs. So then I jumped into this upper left corner of this picture, and I was, a little bit naive because I kind of forgot about all the other things. So it's more like having a broader perspective with you, uh, recognizing we have bodies, we have brains, we have our inner life, and there's cultures, there's like something happens between us in our relationships, and then we move in the external world, in countries, laws, organizations, families, and they are all different, and we need to kind of we are kind of shaped by those constraints. And maybe that doesn't make sense or not, but these are the four perspectives that we're going to explore and kind of practice looking and seeing. So is that good for now, Mia?
For now, yeah, it's fine. I can imagine when you teach it, and you're going through the slide, I could see an example where you could show how each different quadrant affects it. and then that would help my learning of, oh, this is that aspect, oh, this is that aspect in terms of internalizing it. But for now, it's totally fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the things we do in different ways, and we also ask people to journal about that, like in between, to journal about how communication shows itself, shaped by these, and so on. So this is one thing that we start with, and it kind of is part of the whole year.